Not I, said the dog, I'm digging for bone. Not I, said the cat, I'm sitting in the sun.
A couple of years ago, we did a story about the St. Louis Storytelling Festival. It was marking its 40th year. And storytelling then looked a lot like, say, this depiction of Homer a few thousand years ago, or really any depiction of storytelling from any era until now. The St. Louis Festival went from looking like this in 2019 to looking like this in 2020.
And she looked at her feet.
Yes, the virtual storytelling festival. No live audiences. You didn't walk in and sit down. You clicked in.
The sun seemed to be brighter.
The timing of when COVID lockdown started happening was right as we were kind of in the final push of our festival. And so very quickly we had to adjust.
Lisa Overholser is with the University of Missouri Extension. She's been the director of the festival going on 7 years. It's a challenge not just for you as the organizer, it's got to be a challenge for the storytellers as well.
Absolutely. Yeah, storytelling at its heart is a very intimate art form. It's person to person. And I was just speaking with the storyteller yesterday, and he said, you know, I adjust my story based on reactions that I'm seeing in the eyes that I'm looking at. And, you know, it's impossible to do that. And we try to have people visible on the screen when storytellers are telling. It's just not the same.
We've all sort of looked at the advantages of the technology as opposed to initially, I think we were all thinking it's a big disadvantage.
I think there is a kind of intimacy that can be formed that way. And if you utilize the technology properly, if you allow for interaction and Q&A and that kind of thing, it actually can be a little more of a person-to-person experience than otherwise would have been.
Biscuits that my boy and I did not have for breakfast.
Storytelling is a dynamic art form, and the nature of the stories change, the way that stories are told changes, the genres kind of evolve, and storytellers themselves adapt.
This year's virtual festival, from late April to mid-May, the schedule's on the St. Louis Storytelling Festival website, was given a Missouri bicentennial theme. Having a lot of events to choose from, that's not unusual. While past festivals have had some flagship events with large audiences, it has worked to bring stories to the community for free, to different locations, and always to schools. So in some ways, virtual's not so bad.
But I also have to say, we've learned that we can access and reach out to many more people than we normally would have. Last year and earlier this year in some isolated events that we've had, we had listeners from Canada, we had listeners from both coasts, we had listeners from South America, we had storytellers actually joining in from Taiwan last year. So there's kind of a different community that's been formed, I would say.
The St. Louis Storytelling Festival started out small in 1980, and it's grown into one of the premier festivals in the country. But there's another challenge ahead. This is the last year the University of Missouri Extension will be running the festival, but nobody's planning to wrap up this story. Is it more than just hope? But do you have a sense that the Storytelling Festival will continue after this year for the 43rd year?
Yes. I'm very confident that it can happen. There are enough people that are supporters in St. Louis, people that come to attend the festival, schools that we've worked with, institutions that we worked with. We have a great relationship with, for example, the deaf community, the deaf and hard of hearing community. So I think there's enough interest and support. And luckily we have a good track record with finding, you know, financial support and individual donors. And I have no doubt that storytelling will continue and that the festival will continue and that we'll be able to evolve and try some new things and be innovative and expand storytelling even year round in St. Louis.
For Living St. Louis, I'm Jim Kircher.